Oh, I see some scouts right there. Oh, me. We will call the board mayor of Aldermen meeting for Tuesday, June the 11th to order. The first item of business is the opening prayer by City Chaplain Johnny Bird of Legacy Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you would please stand for the prayer, remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. And Pastor Johnny, I would ask that you'd, Robert Griffin's not feeling well tonight, so just pray for a speedy recovery for him.
Yes, sir. Father, thank you. Thank you for the awesome opportunity to gather in a space like this and exercise our civic duty. God, I pray even now that, Lord, as we walk through these moments, that, Lord, you would give the men and women who serve our city wisdom and understanding. God, you said if any man lack wisdom, let him ask of God. So, Lord, we ask that, Lord, we would know what to do and what to say and where to be. Lord, I bring Alderman Griffin to you today, God, that you would heal his body. Lord, your word says in Isaiah 53 and again in 2 Peter that by the stripes of Jesus, believers were made whole. So we receive that as a free gift and ask that you would give speedy recovery to Alderman Griffin. God, give us grace to move forward as a city, and may we make the decisions that you would have, that Bartlett would look more like the kingdom today than it did yesterday and in the future. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As customary, we always recognize any scouts that we have in the audience. And it's been a while since we've had a scout in the audience, and we just ask that you come forward to the podium there. You state your name and what badge you're working on, what troop you're with.
My name is Lane Tate. I'm part of 261, and I'm currently working towards Eagle.
Thank you. Just give him a round of applause. Madam Clerk, will you read our future meetings into the record, please?
Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, June 13th at 6 p.m. Historic Preservation Commission, June 17th at 6:30 p.m.
Thank you, ma'am. Is Tommy Jean? She's not here. Is anybody with City Beautiful here? They all came last month, I think, and I left the proclamation down here, but I was just going forward as if they was here and give it to them at 11 days. Tommy, I hope you're at home where you can see this, but this is a certificate of appreciation presented to the City Beautiful Commission. As is most of them done accustomed to, every year they have a plant sale. They had a plant sale just a couple of weeks ago down here at the Keith A. McDonald Pavilion. It was very successful. Many of you bought plants, and plants I bought are doing well, as long as the wife keeps them watered. And in honor of our most successful plant sale in the Commission's history, the profit for the 2024 sale is in the amount of $10,552.95, and it's a new record and is a direct reflection of the hard work that the Commission members and the pride that you all have in your city. Your dedication and commission to the city of Bartlett is appreciated, and we thank you for a job well done. And just another volunteer committee around here that folks are out, take what they do serious. We've got the best volunteers, and they've already been hit up, I hear, in the last meeting on ways to spend that $10,000. So now we would, while I'm up here, you know, we have a birthday, and believe it or not, the Army has a birthday. And this is their 249th birthday proclamation. And so now we have two individuals from our local recruiting department that is going to receive this proclamation as I read it in there, and I'll give both of you individuals to say whatever you'd like to say. But whereas the United States Army has proudly defended its nation's interests for 249 years. The citizens of Bartlett have fought bravely in and supported all the nation's wars, from the Revolutionary War to the current worldwide deployments, and continue to make this state proud by also serving in the peacekeeping missions around the world. The regular Army, the United States Army Reserve, and the National Guard have all provided many citizens with vocational and educational opportunities, as well as valuable life lessons in courage, discipline, and teamwork. Whereas today, the Army still offers Bartlett citizens from all walks of life an opportunity to serve in their state, their nation proudly, while bettering themselves and their families. So today, as Mayor of Bartlett, Tennessee, we proclaim June the 14th as United States Army Day in commemoration of the United States Army's 249th birthday in Bartlett. So we want to say thank you for y'all's service. And you might want to hold out. So we have a sergeant first class and a sergeant. You can find these two gentlemen down here at Appling. And so if you want to just say a word about, I guess give to them, say a word about the recruiting. I was looking more strike. I was trying to get good strike.
So, like I said, my name is Sergeant Connor. We work off at 7424, off of US 64, right down the road, across the street from the Big Blue Napa building. If you know anybody that's interested in active duty Army, which is the full-time what we do, or interested in the part-time Army Reserve, we do both. We'll take anybody, especially if they got tattoos, we'll take them. We're the only ones that'll do it. So thank you guys for having us. I appreciate it, and we're looking forward to working a lot more with the city of Bartlett. Thank you.
As he said before, thank you all for having us out here. I am Sergeant First Class Huddleston. If y'all have any questions, you can come on out, visit us. I'll take care of you, or he'll take care of you. Any of us will. All right, thank y'all.
My dad served in the Army, and when he passed away, he says that was probably, did more to change his life than the Lord was the United States Army and the discipline they've given. So we're thankful for all those men. We pray a blessing that the recruits meet their numbers, and we're thankful for those that are in the reserve, work at the state, and those that are active overseas and here. So we have a lot of gratitude for you. I know that a lot's been said about what's been going on. I think just last week was the D-Day's 80th anniversary. So we owe a lot of gratitude, and we thank you for all y'all do. Thank you. Okay. Now we move to the official business of the day. And the first item is the approval of the minutes. Madam Clerk, will you read item 1, the approval of minutes?
Minutes of the May 28, 2024 Board of Mayor and Aldermen regular meeting.
I'd like to state that anybody that wished to remove any item can for any purpose for separate discussion. If not, Madam Clerk, will you read this?
Second.
Properly motion. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, Madam Clerk, will you put the roll call up? Minutes are approved unanimous from the May 28th meeting. Next item is we have 4 public hearings. Individuals will have a maximum of 3 minutes to speak, either for or against each item, with a total of 20 minutes for each side. Madam Clerk, will you read item number 1 in?
Ordinance 24-03, an ordinance to create a stormwater utility and provide for funding of operation.
So anybody wish to come speak in favor of ordinance 2403, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name's Christine Richards, 8855 Memphis Arlington Road. I don't know if I need to speak in support of this or somewhere I want to comment on all four of these, but I'll use my 3 minutes just once.
Okay.
First of all, I'm a big believer in catching people doing something right. And with respect to this budget and the lack of a tax increase, y'all are doing a good job thinking about what matters for Bartlett taxpayers. On the other hand, these two fees which are being imposed represent a problem for me because the fee is the same no matter whether the residential property is the smallest property in Bartlett or the largest property in Bartlett. So if you look at the impact for the owner, it can be very, very burdensome or really not much. I do appreciate on the stormwater fee that this is going to be used to fund the capital needs and the projects. And I appreciate the fact that that will result in a reduced cost, because if you're floating bonds at 5%, that basically doubles the cost. And if we pay as we go, it's a better way of doing it because it's cheaper in the long run. So thank you. The point I want to make is that the long-term financial prospects for Bartlett are unsustainable as currently outlined in the budget. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. The rate of expenditures is increasing faster than the increase in revenues, and next year there will be quite a bit of difficulty in making the budget balance. There are only 3 things you can do. 1, increase tax rates. 2, cut government. Or 3, come up with ways to increase the tax base, which is a longer-term problem, but you're working at it. I mean, Union Station is a good example of a piece of property that was not adequately used and is now under development down here and will better generate more taxes. That being said, the assessor is going to come and reassess everybody's property in Shelby County. That's going to mean increases, and those increases will not be even across this group of taxpayers. As under state law, you have to reduce the tax rate to reflect those increased valuations. There will be a reduction in the tax rate, and I suspect there will be an overwhelming appeal to then increase the tax rate back towards the $1.73 that we have in place now to address the budget problem. So I am hoping you will be thoughtful in this process, and we will be watching what you're doing and involved in the process, but I wish you all well, and thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wish to come forward? All right, we will close the public hearing for those who wish to speak in favor. Any of those in opposition, please come forward. State your name and address for the record. Seeing no one coming forward this time, I think we did receive one correspondence. So I'd ask that, Madam Clerk, you read it into the record, please.
Mandy Young, 5560 North Street, Bartlett, Tennessee, 38134. I am writing to voice my concerns about the rapid changes taking place in our city, Bartlett. While growth is positive, implementing changes too quickly can have negative consequences. I urge the council to be more transparent with the community, especially regarding fee increases. We want to know where our money is going and how it is being used to advance the financial well-being of the community. Please take the time to listen to the opinions of your citizens and consider our concerns as we all care about the future of Bartlett. Last year, you implemented an increase both on the wheel tax and light tax. Can you explain how much money was collected on these taxes and where it was used? Also, you stated in your strategic plan that there was a surplus of 2.87% in fiscal 2023, and you were using it to fund large-scale projects without issuing any debt through fiscal year 2024. What were the large-scale projects? Also, how can you put an IT fee on a water bill? Is it really the citizens' position to pay for the IT fees at the city to keep the cybersecurity safe for the city? How many other suburbs charge their citizens the IT fee, or does it come from their general fund? All in all, last year you had a fee increase on us. This year you're proposing a fee increase on us, and the next year it will be a tax increase on our homes. When will enough be enough? I know you have all made up your minds here, but I would like for all of you to think of the single-family homes and the ones with children working 2+ jobs, trying to make ends meet just to keep a house here in Bartlett and to make a better life for their children, or even the seniors that have lived here all their life and are now on a fixed income. You see, this is what makes Bartlett hometown proud, the diversity we have in this community.
Thank you. That will, seeing no one else seeking to be recognized, we will adjourn the public hearing for ordinance 24-03. Madam Clerk, will you read item number 2?
Ordinance 24-04, an ordinance to amend Title V, Chapter 5, City Fee of the City of Bartlett Code of Ordinances.
Okay, any wish to come and speak in favor? Seeing no one coming forward, anyone wish to come speak in opposition? Seeing no one coming forward, we will adjourn the public hearing for ordinance 24-04. Madam Clerk, read public hearing item number 3 into the record, please.
Ordinance 24-05, an ordinance to amend the 2024-2025 General Fund, Street Aid Fund, Solid Waste Fund, General Improvement Fund, Drug Enforcement Fund, DEA Enforcement Fund, Drainage Fund, Parks Improvement Fund, E-Citation Fund, Bartlett City School Fund, Utility Fund, Debt Service Fund, and Capital Improvements Fund budgets.
Anyone wishing to come forward speaking in favor of ordinance 2405, please come forward at this time. Seeing no one coming forward, we move to those who wish to come and speak in opposition. Seeing no one come to wish to speak in opposition, we will adjourn the public hearing for ordinance 24-05. Madam Clerk, will you read item number 4?
Ordinance 24-06, an ordinance to levy and assess a tax rate for ad valorem taxes upon real property and personal property in the City of Bartlett for the tax year 2024.
Again, it is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to come speak in favor, please step forward at this time. Seeing no one wishing to speak in favor, anyone wishing to speak in opposition to ordinance 24-06? Seeing no one come forward, we will adjourn the public hearing for ordinance 24-06 and move to unfinished business. Madam Clerk, we read item number 1 under unfinished business in the record, please.
Third reading of ordinance 24-03, an ordinance to create a stormwater utility and provide for funding of operation.
Second.
We've had a motion, a second. Any discussion?
Could we get just a brief description of what make sure people understand what value we're getting out of this?
The stormwater utility fee is a fee that will assist the engineering department to conduct and complete the projects, capital projects for stormwater drainage and other projects that they have. We have a backlog of projects now that have been waiting on funding, and since we're trying not to issue debt, this is a way to do it. Other cities in the county also adopted a stormwater fee for their citizens, and this fee is a $4 a month fee for residential users and a minimum of $6 a month fee and maximum of $300 a month fee for commercial and industrial areas.
So to be very clear about what we're getting, we are basically looking to fund projects and cash flow them as we go and retire some of the service debt associated with the stormwater project. So our goal is to get away from issuing debt, which saves us money over the long term.
Absolutely. As mentioned previously, the bond market right now, the interest rate's 5% or more, and that could double the cost of any bond that we issue over a period of 20 years. And we're trying to get away from that. We may not always achieve that goal in future years, but we're trying to get away from issuing debt as much as we can.
And to be very clear, last year we did a similar fee increase to quit adding debt to pave roads.
Yes, sir.
So part of the strategic goal of us is to quit issuing debt, where we're only getting, 6 cents on the dollar or 5 cents on the dollar. 50 cents on the dollar worth of paving, right? So it makes total sense that we move more towards this model. It's costing a little bit more, but we're not having to pay near as much long term.
So that's why we particularly looked at these enterprise funds that we have that takes money out of the general fund, and we're trying to get those to where they can stand on their own 2 feet and to be substantial. Another way that maybe the router or the folks at home on a stormwater fee, there's a lot of retention basins around here that have silt in them. We issued $1.2 million, I think it was, a debt last year to fix a flooding problem in 2 areas of town. If you drive by tonight and get out and you go down Alturia down here, there's a little detention basin that's right before you go over the railroad tracks. And you'll look at it, and it's like an island of the silt that's in there. 2 years ago, we put that out for bid. I thought it would come back about $400,000, and it come back $750,000. Is that right? Just under $700,000. And we have enough of those projects lined up, along with paying the debt service. The current debt goes all the way back to 2006. If I'm not mistaken, in one of our meetings, Dick, it was going to take us another 10 years just to pay the debt service off on the debt that we'd already issued previously on that. So you have another 10 years of paying that debt off before you can pay as you go, and you're accumulating over $1 million a year in maintenance and so forth to keep some of these on. We've looked at, if you look around most of these storm basins, it's been a long time, and they're silted up and they're not working properly. We did a study with a firm that did 4 or 5 of them, I think it was, and looked at those costs. We did not, last year, we did not go into, it was over budget and over time, and we've been working hard over the past year to try to find and meet with different contractors to see if we could get some of those numbers down. But the effort that Alderman Reeves made is a very valid point. That was one of the reasons for the $5 fee last year. The $5 streetlight fee was so that we can have continue to pave roads and do maintenance on the roads and have a reoccurring revenue to pay for it, rather than going to the bond market for it. We've gone to the bond market as far back that, I don't know how much further past, but at least we know back to 2010 and 12 to pave the roads. There was something mentioned in some of the letters here about where did that money go? That money went to repave our roads. And why the $5 streetlight fee? The $5 streetlight fee paid to keep the streetlights on. So we was paying for that out of the street aid fund, and that freed up about $1.6 million for us not to have to go toward repaving, along with something was mentioned about a wheel tax. We did not impose a wheel tax. You have a Bartlett registration fee that was $25, and we went up to $35, such as Germantown and Caryville had already been at $35, and that generated another $470,000, which got us up to about 2.8 or around 2.7, $2.8 million a year that we'll have to go toward repaving our streets. And repaving our streets is a very expensive thing to do, and it's a reoccurring expense. So rather than, we chose to look at these enterprise funds, and yes, we are imposing some of these small fees there, but if the first thing, rather than raising taxes, we looked at these special revenue funds so that they could stand on their own and fund themselves, so that we don't have to go to the bond market at 5% and amortize it over 20 years. And I think only 42 cents of that is the number I think I heard with PFM. The reason we're doing some of these things too is to keep our bond rating where it is, and we're trying to maintain, we do not want to, you'll see the budget, we did dip into the reserves this year, but we dipped into the reserves this year only because those 3 projects was an ambulance, a truck, and some capital improvements to another. Those are CIP numbers. PFM, our financial managers and our bonders, the ones that we issue our bonds, are saying that it's not a good idea to go into your reserves to pay for things that are recurring expense. It's not a good idea to put a Band-Aid on something and kick the can on the road and go into the reserves 1 year only to have to face it the next year. That's why we initiated those fees and trying to get these fees corrected where we have reoccurring revenue for reoccurring expenses. We approached this long-term budget in that manner so that we began to fix these small things and not immediately go to the property tax. Now, we'll talk about the other one here in a minute about the IT and what it has to do with the water department. A lot of, we'll talk about it on the next one. I didn't mean to go on and on. Mr. Phoebus, did you want to add anything else?
I got a comment if I can.
Yes, sir, Alderman Jones.
It's my understanding, Dick, that every other suburb or every other municipality in Shelby County has a stormwater fee except us. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So really, we're doing what other municipalities have been doing for years.
For a very important purpose, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And when you talk about stormwater, just one other thing, because I talk all night about the fees and the cost. But, you know, again, a lot of this is unfunded mandates coming from TDAC. That the blue line ditches have to be walked. We actually have to put somebody out there, whereas John, we have to actually, these blue line ditches, we have to walk and video those and make inspections on so many points. It's almost, blue line ditches are basically a big ditch. It's the waters of the state. And I won't, without belaboring the point, there's a lot of things that the engineering department has to do that's mandated by EPA or mandated by the federal or by our state government on reports we'd have to do in checking manholes and checking flows and so forth like that. So we've actually got one gentleman, Mr. Don Fent, that he does nothing but in that. So again, this is just another attempt to bundle that and not to continue. I don't think it's good to continue to keep expensing things out and not have a long-term solution for it. And a long-term solution is you don't try to go to a recurring expense and do it with temporary money. So we established the fee in that. And so enough said on that matter. And we had a motion and seconds. Any other alderman like to be recognized at this time for discussion? Since no alderman wishes to be recognized, Madam Clerk, will you put the roll call on the screen? So ordinance 24-03 passes unanimous. And Madam Clerk, will you read item number 2 under unfinished business?
Third reading of ordinance 24-04, an ordinance to amend Title 5, Chapter 5, City Service Fee of the City of Bartlett Code of Ordinances.
Mr. Dick? All right.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Phoebus, would you like to elaborate any?
This is a service fee, technology fee imposed on the water utility billing on a monthly basis. Current fee is $2.50. We're increasing that by $3, so the total fee would be $5.50. It'll go toward the General Improvement Fund, which uses that money to provide technology services to the citizens of this community.
Thank you. Alderman Reeves, you recognize.
Yeah, so I know we had a lot of discussion about this particular fee. I think one of the things we have to be very careful of is critical infrastructure. Living in a time where a lot of infrastructure is susceptible to cyber attack. I'm pretty sure that we've been hit by one sometime in the last couple of years, right? Last few years. Mm-hmm. And what we do not want it to do is hit any of our critical infrastructure services, like any of our pumps, our water pumps, or water billing software where we have customer data and things like that. Some stuff's analog, some stuff's digital, but I think at the end of the day, the reason why I support it is because this is about hardening our critical infrastructure, and part of our critical infrastructure is utilities. And so I'm for it. At the very beginning, I wasn't so much, but I think I can see the justification in it given what we're having to protect. So this will help to provide actual software and other means to protect us from cyber attack, which this is part of our job from a resilience viewpoint for the city, is to make sure it can continue to operate when there is some type of huge event like that. So appreciate it. Thank you.
We were just reading in the news, I think it was just the other day, where the water system and the system of a city in Texas was hacked. And customers' information was hacked, plus they tried to hack some of those other things. So I won't elaborate no more on that fee there. It was set by ordinance in 1982. It's been in effect since then. And we'll look for ways to reduce that or move that into possibly some other area rather than being on a water bill in the future. But for right now, we need to fund this next year, and this is the place that we're raising that fee at. Is there any other Alderman Quinn?
Yes. Hey, thank you for saying that, because that's something that CAO Sones and I talked about, was could we ever take that out as a separate fund and put it in as a line item? I mean, you're still gonna have to get it out of property taxes, so people are still gonna have to be paying for it. It just wouldn't be the same thing. It just seems odd on the bill. The $3, now, the full $3 is going toward this, right? Because I thought there was a little, between 250, the 50 cents, is all going toward it?
Yeah, so every bit of this revenue goes straight towards cybersecurity and has since 2002. Of course, initially in 2002, that cost was $60,000.
Right.
It's rose exponentially over the course of the last 22 years. And as Alderman Reeves pointed out, since 2022, when the city was subject to a security breach, we have upped it. And we have upped it for a lot of reasons, many of which Alderman Reeves kind of alluded to, but primarily because state and local governments are the most prevalent for cyber attacks. 70% of all cyber attacks that happen in the United States are happening on state and municipal governments. So the goal here is to try to increase that infrastructure and use every bit of this to support that.
Right. And as we discussed, this is not a one-time buy. This is a recurring cost for that amount every year. Just make sure everybody understands, because this is ongoing cloud storage and security and stuff.
Yeah, one of those measures, and we could ask our IT director to elaborate if needed, but one of those measures was to move everything more cloud-based. I mean, that was one of the direct measures to try to get to a place where it's much more secure.
Right.
And doing so comes with software cost. If you've ever seen an IT contract, there's always this little caveat that we will increase 3 to 5%, every so many years. It's just the way it works, unfortunately. So this is one of those costs we're gonna be dealing with for a long time to keep things secure, and it's probably gonna continue to rise.
Right, well, it's well worth it. Thank you.
And so we experienced actually that in 2020, 22, very scary. We basically, the city was kind of stymied by that, and we didn't know what they got and when they got it. It was a lengthy deal, but anyway. Is any more, Alderman Reeves?
I was just gonna say, and I think you just alluded to it, I think it's important to use this. I think we need to figure out how to get away from this fund sometime in the future, whether we integrate it into the general fund or whatever. Just to me, it's, you see what I'm saying? I mean, we gotta have it for this year, and we get it because we need to fund the technology solutions without going to the tax rate. But maybe next year, maybe we can see if we can integrate some of this into the.
Like Alderman Quinn alluded to it, I mean, it's gotta be paid for one way or the other, but it's a lot more palatable if it was maybe it's more palatable in a tax rather than on a water bill.
Yeah, and that's the only thing, and also like we discussed, just to make sure every property owner, every parcel owner is paying into it, and not just the utility users. So, thank y'all.
All right, anyone else wish to be recognized? If no one else wishes to be recognized, Madam Clerk, will you place the roll before us? Ordinance 24-04 passes unanimous. Madam Clerk, will you read item number 3 under unfinished business in the record?
Third reading of ordinance 24-05, an ordinance to adopt the 2024-25 General Fund, Street Aid Fund, Solid Waste Fund, General Improvement Fund, Drug Enforcement Fund, DEA Enforcement Fund, Drainage Fund, Parks Improvement Fund, East Citation Fund, Bartlett City School Fund, Utility Fund, Debt Service Fund, and Capital Improvements Fund budgets.
Second.
Properly motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please place the roll on the screen. Ordinance 24-05 passes unanimous. Madam Clerk, please read item number 4. Item number 4.
Third reading of ordinance 24-06, an ordinance to levy and assess a tax rate for ad valorem taxes upon real property and personal property in the city of Bartlett for the tax year 2024.
Second.
Properly motion to second. Any discussion? Just will add that is not a property tax increase. That being said, Madam Clerk, please place the roll. Item 24, ordinance 24-06 passes unanimous. And Madam Clerk, please read item number 5.
Second reading of ordinance 24-07, an ordinance to designate the Klink Home, 3038 Sycamore View Road, a historic landmark.
And public hearing has already been set for June the 25th.
Sorry, move we approve.
Second that.
Thank you.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion. Madam Clerk? Motion carries. Unanimous. And now we move to, there is no consent agenda items on this meeting. We move now to new business. We have two items under new business. Madam Clerk, will you read item number 1 under new business?
Resolution 18-24, resolution to amend the fiscal year 2024 Bartlett City Schools General Purpose School Fund and Education Capital Project Fund.
Second.
Properly motion to seconds. Any discussion? No one wishing to be recognized. Madam Clerk, please place. Resolution 1824 passes unanimous. Madam Clerk, please read item number 2.
First reading of ordinance 2408, an ordinance establishing the Bartlett Library Advisory Board. The public hearing is to be set for July 9th, 2024.
Second that.
Motion. July 9th. So thank you, Ed. You did a good job. This will be a 9-member board. The aldermen make each one of the aldermen will get someone that they nominate to put on there, as long as they're alderman. When the alderman seat changes, the new alderman will get a vote along with the mayor, and then 2 people from Avenue. So with that being said, Madam Clerk. Ordinance 24-08 passes unanimous. So, approved for the first reading. So now we move to open discussion. It's open to the board first. Does any board member have anything they would like to say at this time?
Mr. Mayor, I know we kind of rolled through the budget and the tax rate. Can you just opine a little bit on next year's budget process? I mean, Ms. Richards really kind of brought it up in her conversation, but we do have significant lift next year, so I think it'd be good just to prepare the road for that. So how do you see next year kind of playing out, kind of with revenues and expenditures, and what next year is going to look like?
Well, it's kind of like who's going to win the election in November to a lot of it. But we have tried to address these issues of these enterprise funds these first couple of years. And we've not issued no debt in the past 2 years. We've been accustomed to issuing about $5 million. So as of today, there's $10 million that we did not go to the bond market, which would have to come out of debt service and amortized over 20 years. We've basically, one of the letters alluded, what do we do with the money last year? We took our reserves, or our PFM says our reserves are adequate, and we took some of the fund balance from the 24 budget, or 23 budget, and spend it on capital needs in FY24. And those funds this year are very limited, and we see that shrinking. We're working very hard to try to grow sales tax revenue. Sales tax revenue means new business coming into town and somebody buying something. And one of the issues that we had there in a lot of the area of the town where we need that sales tax to grow was limited by the sewer capacity. So we've been working on the sewer capacity for about 15 months now. And we have 15 months ago, we've addressed that problem. We've hired engineers. We've had multiple meetings with the City of Memphis Mayor Jim Strickland and Mayor Paul Young. A lot of those things just takes time, particularly when it comes to infrastructure. And you can see every city in Shelby County is having those problems with a lot of the growth that they say is coming from Blue Oval. And we have, that's one of the reasons that we've been so aggressive on the sewer issue, which basically is an issue from City Hall all the way out to Interstate 40. One of the things that was said during the campaign is that we had a lot of empty spaces around here. Well, we've talked to a lot of the businesses come into our office. One of the items that was mentioned on the campaign trail was where the old Piggly Wiggly used to be down here. That was 52,000 square feet. As of today, knock on wood, we have not city, but Cheap Auto Parts has taken at least 2/3 of that space that's gone in. We had a vacant space where Backyard Burgers went out of business. We have California Burgers in there. We had another space across the street next to Pops that went out. We have a breakfast place in there. We had a Malco Theater to close down. We have a pickleball court down there. We have, and there's a long host of array of people talking to come to Bartlett. How can we speed that up? It's very difficult for us to speed that process up when those people have got to have capital to go out and make these improvements, and they're going to the same market, just like we just said a minute ago. We can't afford those interest rates. It's affecting car sales. It's affecting everything that you do. But we're aggressively working with the chamber. We've hired a Jones Ire group. They're trying to get the right people in here in the right places that generate sales tax. So that's increasing revenue. And one of the things that we're trying to do, we're trying to get some new residential homes built out here. We're the 11th largest city in Tennessee, was the 10th. We're shrinking. I was looking at some numbers today. In 1965, we only had 805 people there in 1965. In 2010, we had 57,200 and some odd people here. In 2020, we had 57,005, a couple hundred more people like that. We had not been growing. We're trying to turn that trend around. But it's very difficult to grow in a market that has some of the challenges there. But we're working through those challenges. We're working with people one-on-one, trying to encourage them to come to Bartlett. We've listened to the citizens last year, and one of the things that we're doing there is we tried to work very hard with creating the new master plan for our parks. We listen to our citizens. We listen to our employees. And one of the things that we've been having to do is that it's a very tough market today to try to keep anybody employed. If anybody has a business out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I've had several businesses call me and say, how do y'all get people? Well, we can't find nobody. How do y'all get a truck driver? There's no secret to it. We put it out on the market. And if you look at, it's a revolving door of getting people and the quality of the people that you're getting here. And we're putting resources and supporting our schools so that hopefully we can generate the kids that's coming out of our schools and get them into good jobs out here. And we're looking out for their future too, ma'am, in our long-term plan. That's why we went out here and annexed this property out here, that hopefully we'll get some more business out there so that your grandkids can go out there and get a good paying job making $60,000. But guess what? To keep our kids from moving out, that's the long-term sustainability, is our kids staying here, get a good job here, buying a home, and calling it their hometown. But we heard from a lot of the citizens, we don't have a lot of the amenities that a lot of these young people want. They want outdoor activities. That's why today our Parks Department was at Ellendale doing Red Rover, whatever, carrying the parks and things out there. We're trying to improve the quality of life. We're trying to manage the budget. We're trying to get new people to come into here. I'm very pleased that one of the businesses that did the new business just come in was Andy Bees. Andy Bees was in my office. We had a long conversation. He said, look, you got to improve this. You got to make it more family-oriented. I went yesterday, which was Wednesday. I went down to the bowling alley for my lunch, and I looked there, and every lane was almost full. It was senior citizens down there, and they come back on Friday. So one of the ways that we're going to get those businesses to come is we got to have the type businesses that our citizens want. That's one of the reasons that this board supported last year, limiting and make it by special use permit several of the businesses that a lot of the people felt like need to make that. So we listened to it on the campaign. We addressed that issue. We're listening to the people there so that when we go spend $1 in a park, or we go buy a police car, or we go buy a dump truck, or we hire another employee, we want to make sure that we're competitive. And it's a very competitive market out there. And you look at all the suburbs. Last year, two other entities, two of our sister cities, raised taxes 17, 18 cents, and we didn't do that. So we're trying to be smart with the money we have. We listen to our citizens. We want to make sure when it comes to a playground that we put a slide where they're wanting a slide and not put a swing where they're wanting a slide. That's very simplistic, but that's the approach that the administration's trying to do. And we're trying to get it to where more of our folks would enjoy the quality of life around here. That's why this weekend And I won't steal the thunder, y'all can still come up and say, but this weekend, there's Food Truck Friday tomorrow. We had over 1,000 people come to Food Truck Friday a week ago. Great comments. People are enjoying the quality of life that they expect around here. Tomorrow, I said at noon, we have Food Truck Friday from 11 to 1 or 2, 11 to 2. Tomorrow night, that's free. You just go up there and pay the vendor. Tomorrow night, you can go hear Almost Famous at BPAC out there. Friday. This is just Tuesday. I'm sorry. Yeah, it feels like Friday. Sorry. Yeah. So anyway, Friday night you go out there for free. Saturday night you'll be able to go and hear our concert series down at Freeman Park for free. So we're listening, and yes, we are raising some fees. But you just look around this community, who ain't raising fees? And that's not no reason for us to raise fees, because we're going to be Bartlett. That's all we got to do. We're not trying to keep nobody else, but we're going to be Bartlett. But things are increasing. Wages are going up. Inflation's going up. I had the president of the chamber come down here and tell me that with inflation, that what we gave them in 2018, it's about $10,000 less than the real money today if you look at the inflation index. We face that. We face that in everything that we buy. Last year when we had that storm, we floated about $2.5 million that we have to float till the federal government pays us back, and it'll probably be the second Tuesday next week when we get that money. We bought a $248,000 truck, the truck that picked the debris up and puts it in there. We bought one of those. It was the last one we bought was like $210,000. It's $247,000. Both of them. Where's Matt at? If I'm right. And then we thinking we couldn't get it. We had to go to was it Virginia or West Virginia, Matt? Where's he at? Was it West Virginia or Virginia? He had to go to Virginia to get the daggum thing. Things are expensive. I know it. We buy milk at the same place you do. We put gas in our car at the same place you do. We get the same water bill you do. We get the same property tax bill you do. And we have the same things that hurts us just like it hurts you. But we can't stick our head in the sand and kick the can, and kick the can, and kick the can. So I don't know any other thing to say is that we're working hard to try to improve your quality of life. And yes, some fees are going up. And go back to answer your question, man, we very well may have to raise property taxes next year. May have to. Or we can just not hire as many policemen. Or we can not may have to let some truck drivers go. We might can do things. But I think people want their trash picked up. They want to feel protected. And the last thing we want to do in these times is to be letting go of somebody when they're so hard to get a hold of. But things are expensive. We realize that. We take very seriously, everything you pay to the city. And we want to make sure that we give you the best service so that you feel like that the quality of life in Bartlett, Tennessee is like none other. We've got a long ways to go and a short time to get there. And we're working toward that. You may not agree with us, you may not agree with this board, but we can agree to disagree. But it's not because we're not looking. It's not because we're not pushing. It's not because we're not working. It's not because we don't want to do better. It's because stuff's stinking too daggum high.
Yeah, that's true.
So with that, I'll close.
Mayor, appreciate that. I just wanted him to have the opportunity to kind of put that out there.
Thank you.
It's going to be, the cost of operating government is outpacing our growth. And we're working to grow the city. And it's going to take a little time to do that. But in the meantime, to keep the level of service that you want, we may have to do that next year. Or either A, we're going to bring a budget up here where we cut things. And a lot of people aren't going to like either one of them. So I feel like next year it's going to be tough, but I think it's good for everybody to know that it's coming, and we have to do it, and we will be very transparent. I appreciate your transparency, Mayor, and what you put out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Quinn?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to CEO Sones and Mr. Phoebus and Eric for giving me the line item summaries and being very patient with me and drilling down into the numbers. You know, we looked at everything, and, you know, it's a tight budget. There's very little wiggle room, and knocking on some wood, we don't have any emergencies. So I do appreciate the time you took on that and for all the explanations to the public as well. Thank you.
So, anyone else? No other director wishes to be recognized, so I'll move to the directors. I may have stole, I know, you can't steal Todd's thunder, I know.
Well, like the mayor said, we have listened, and we have a lot going on this weekend. And starting on Friday morning from 11 to 2, we have Food Truck Friday. And we have a few, we listened, and some of y'all would like some kids' menus, some other items. So we have Marco's Pizzas coming this year, so we're excited about, or this Friday, coming Friday. We have Poke Paradise, which is a new one, S&M Grill, which is a new one, and then we have some favorites, the Taco Place, Scrape the Plate, and Barbecue X is coming back. So we have some really good ones that hopefully they'll have some kid menus for everybody, and we told them to please be considerate that everybody's on their lunch break and things like that, and have some games out there. The weather's going to be awesome, so you can eat at Food Truck Friday, and then Friday night you can go to BPAC and listen to Almost Famous. So, and then we have some stuff going on Saturday, so we have something for every age group. And then the farmers market Saturday morning, we've got the pets on Saturday. We are busy this weekend, so no one in Bartlett can say there's nothing to do. So we are busy. So I'm going to let Todd tell you
Debbie,
about something new.
can I just put another caveat on what you just said? Y'all please look at that screen. That's not your taxpayer dollars working.
No, it is
That's
not.
paid for with sponsorships from the Bank of Bartlett, Chick-fil-A, Side Porch, and Smith's Plumbing Supply.
That is correct.
We give a great shout out to all those businesses.
I will say that is your sales tax dollars working. Because the sponsors up there are taking money that you go spend at their restaurants and putting it right back in the Bartlett line.
Yes, and we thank them so much for helping us with this new event that we're starting. So we're excited about it. Like I said, we're going to be busy all weekend, so we hope to see everybody a lot this weekend. Okay, your turn, Todd.
My turn? All right. I was moral support, but she walked off. All right. So, kicking off Saturday, the 15th, presented by Bank of Bartlett, sponsored by Side Porch Steakhouse, Smith's Plumbing, and Chick-fil-A. We're going to kick off the Bartlett Live Music Series at W.J. Freeman Park. It is going to be an 8-night music series stretched out over the summer. Our last one is September the 28th, which is right before the Fall Festival. We are going to have food trucks out there. Let's Go Bartlett has sponsored Grind City Brewery. They're going to be out there, and we have got a little bit of everything out there. We wanted to be a little different than a lot of the other festivals or summer concert series, so we went deep. We've got everything from blues to bluegrass, rock to reggae, coffee house to country. So there's a little bit of something for everybody. Music starts at 6. We'll be over by 9, so you can be back home by 9:30. Come on out and bring your blankie and your chair and join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. We appreciate it.
Williams?
Yeah, I just want to tell you all thank you for putting all this together and working really hard on it. And I also wanted to say that we need volunteers for these events. So if you could go to our City of Bartlett website.
Yes, when you go to the City of Bartlett website, the volunteer application is actually with the employment applications. We've had a few people confused about that, but we would like the volunteers to be 18 and older since it is a nighttime event like that, and that application for volunteers is under. When you click the link, it takes you to our employment page, which is a little confusing for some of the people.
And they'll get a cute T-shirt to wear.
Yes.
Yes.
Sponsored by Biscuits and Jams.
Boy, that was neat, wasn't it? Now, who's that T-shirt by?
It wasn't a shameless plug.
That's
We
your
need volunteers.
Tax dollars at work, right? Or sales tax at work, right?
Sales tax at work.
Does this T-shirt have Todd's picture on the shirt?
No, I didn't approve
That would be
one.
awesome with a bald head and a beard. Like,
Yes, sir. We still can make them for next year.
So my phone don't ring off the wall tomorrow, and I said Red Rover or Wreck Rover. Paul, would you come up here and Yeah, yeah. Clean up the mess I made.
Rec Rover, send parks right over. So that's one of our new initiatives in the Parks and Recreation Department, is to have a mobile recreation opportunity where we're going out into all of the various neighborhood parks. So this afternoon we're at Allendale Park. Last week we were at East Hill Park. Next week we're going to head to Rivercrest. If you go to the website and look in the Parks Department, we have a Rec Rover tab on your left-hand sidebar. It's a free event. There's no cost to this. So we have everything from inflatables to crafts to yard games. We'll have our pop-up picnic tables available for plenty of seating. We had Mimi's Cake Pops out there this afternoon. Next week at Rivercrest, we'll have Mr. Frosty as well. So that's not free. There is a charge to that. But the activities, the fun, the enjoyment there at the park is free for all to attend. We've had a great response today. We had about 130 people come. Last week, about 80 people. So we're looking forward to a great event next week at Rivercrest Park.
Thank you, Paul. Any other director? Seeing no other director. Now we go to the citizens. If you filled out complete open discussion citizens form prior to the start of the meeting, you may come forward and state your name and address for the record, please. Any citizen wish to be recognized at this time? Seeing none coming forward, we'll move to adjourn this meeting.